Hello listeners, Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello listeners, and welcome to the weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion series. If you're new here, my name is Jordan Bonaparte, and in Keep Canada Weird, my pal Aaron Airport and I seek out and explore the more offbeat news stories that played out across Canada over the past week. In tonight's episode, which was recorded on April 30th of 2024, Aaron and I are going to hear about Tim Hortons' latest attack on Canadian culture, this time in the form of their musical stage show, The Last Timbit. We're also going to discuss the cockroach infestation of a Saanich BC hospital. We'll run from the giant invasive toxic worms in Ontario, and then we're going to consider a Toronto nail salon's offer of 20% off to customers willing to let them take and sell pictures of their feet. So let's get into it. Handsome Aaron Airport, we are back. This is going to be our best episode ever. I'm calling it up front.
Yeah, you like to do that.
This time I mean it.
So every other time was a lie.
Well,
all right, we're off to a good start.
Every other time I thought it could be, tonight I know this will be the best episode of Keep Canada Weird. And it's not because Elaine, your hater, is going to come on and debate you. It's not because Justin Trudeau is going to be a guest and allow a lecture or interview or something. It's just because the stories tonight are especially good. It's a very quintessential Keep Canada Weird collection of stories we got tonight. Before we get into them and introduce them, though, I want to hear from you. What's going on? What's new? Is Cape Breton still a small island floating somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean?
Yeah, we're still floating, although connected by a causeway to the mainland. Yeah, what's new with me? Not too much. Just plugging away at life, you know.
Okay, that's fine. That's a fine answer. Spring has sprung here in Halifax. I'm noticing buds on the trees. Have you seen any nature happening yet?
Yeah, the grass is getting greener.
Mm-hmm.
Always on the other side, but still greener. And yeah, I've been noticing the arrival of spring. It's a very welcomed sight.
It's very nice, right? It seems like you don't got much to say, so let's pass the mic to the Keep Canada Weird Army.
Let's do that, yeah.
We have some listeners who have some feedback on past stories. I figure let's just start right off the hop with that. One story that keeps coming up, we keep revisiting, is the story of the holy grail of hockey card discoveries in a Regina basement leads to this international auction thing where the bid gets as high as $5 million Canadian, a little over it. The guy buys it for a little over $5 million, and then he gets the holy grail of buyer's remorse cases. We've discussed that, I think, a week or two ago, but a listener named Kelsey is just catching up on prior episodes, and she was in the middle of hearing the man with buyer's remorse explained that he may want to donate these cards to the love of his life, who he met when he was 7.
Winning bid for this 1979 mega box hockey cards really originated back when I was like 7 years old, where I met a girl in my class. Her name was Elise, and I really think that I had a connection to her and that she was my true soulmate. And she was interested in hockey. So in the event that I don't get in touch with anybody, or no one gets in touch with me, I'd like to gift them to Elise, the young girl for way back from school, and that she could have them as a total gift. Because I throughout the years, I actually believe that she was like my true soulmate. I still do, but
she wanted to react to that right away. So I believe she hit pause on the episode and went to nighttimepodcast.com/contact and sent this message.
Okay, I had to stop mid-podcast to send this. I'm just listening to your April 15th Keep Canada Weird about the guy with the hockey ticket and the 7-year-old crush of his. There's so many things that made me uncomfortable. I feel like I've listened to pretty much every podcast that you've done. That was the moment that honestly, my insides were turning. I was almost like, I think I'm going to turn it off. I can't listen to it. It's so painful because I do feel really bad for this guy. I think he's like kind of pathetic in a way. Like I do feel for him. But like, he was kind of hinting that he was still in love with the 7-year-old girl because he didn't mention that he's known Elise now. And like, God love her, I would be mortified. And all he said was she was interested in hockey at the age of 7. I was interested in a lot of things when I was 7. I'm not now that I'm like 35. Like, anyway, the whole thing was bizarre. And I feel for Elise more than anyone in this situation. But I had to send this immediately.
I like that voicemail. It has a lot of emotion, but I especially like the fact that of all the things she's heard on this show, a show that covers weird Canadian news stories, I cover mysteries, crime, all sorts of things. The one thing that really gave her the heebie-jeebies was the story of buyer's remorse related to this auction. I think that's something there.
Oh, it's the guttural reaction that she had. She had to pull over. And we recommend this to all Keep Canada Weird listeners who are listening while driving. It should be treated the same way as it is a cell phone. You know, you shouldn't listen to Keep Canada Weird and drive at the same time because it can get very emotional. It can be a very distracting, visceral experience.
Well, let's get into that distracting, visceral experience. We enjoy hearing from listeners, but that's not our primary objective. We're here to keep Canada weird by highlighting the weird news stories that played out over the last week. And we got a couple doozies tonight. We're going to be talking about Tim Hortons. We're going to hear about 2 stories, not of the animal uprising, but of the insect uprising, I guess. We're going to get into bugs tonight. And we're going to hear about a unique spin on a foot fetish story. I'm always here for a foot fetish story, but the one we got tonight's special. I think maybe we should end with that. Let's, what do you say we just jump right in and start with the latest update concerning the Tim Hortons issue?
Yeah, the Tim Hortons issue is always the one most pressing on our minds. So I think it would be good to start there. Let's get it out of our system, and then that way we can truly focus on the remaining stories and give them their due.
This story concerning the Tim Hortons issue comes to us from 2 separate Keep Canada Weird correspondent tips. I'll play both of these voicemails now. When this news broke related to Tim Hortons' latest shenanigans, my inbox lit up. Here's one way the story came to us. This is from Coulter.
Hi, Nighttime Podcast. I have some breaking news regarding the Tim Hortons issue. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's going to be a Tim Hortons musical called The Last Timbit. I'm at a loss for words, and I don't know what to do, so I hope you guys can guide us all through this. Thanks a lot.
We will guide you through it, Coulter. So have no fear. We're going to help you tonight. But that wasn't the only caller concerning it. We also heard from Stacy.
I just wanted to let you and Aaron know that Tim Hortons is producing a musical. It's coming to, or they've done a musical. It's coming to Toronto. It's called The Last Timbit. Thought that might be good for one of the next episodes.
Not one of the next episodes. This episode. You've heard the news, right?
I've heard the news. I'm aware. I'm extremely concerned.
I hope you're not speechless because we got to get into it tonight. I'm going to read you a short piece here about what's going on. In the last year, Tim Hortons has treated cottaging Canadians to a boat drive-through. They revived its beloved Dutchie donut and launched pizzas. But perhaps the biggest surprise will come this summer on the heels of its 60th anniversary, which occurs on May 17th. Tim Hortons will enter a realm so unexpected for a fast food giant that even its executives expect people's reactions to be, what the? The head scratcher is going to come in the form of The Last Timbit, a musical for which Tim Hortons has assembled a who's who of Canadian artists to stage at the Elgin Theatre in Toronto this June. The production is loosely based on a 2010 snowstorm that was so bad that drivers on a highway east of Sarnia, Ontario were forced to hunker down in cars, and others had to wait out the inclement weather at a local Tim Hortons. So that's how Global News describes the play. But I've heard it described as a play. I've heard it described as a musical. I think it's going to be something in the middle, because I did hear an interview with the person like writing the music and songs for it, and that and they were in the interview with the director, so they're going to have a big role. But I understand it's also a little bit of like a play as well. Now, this is your world. You write and act in plays. You direct plays. Your opinion on this is invaluable. What's going on here?
Well, I mean, it's as much as they don't want people to think it's a giant commercial, it's a giant, expensive, ridiculous commercial. And Tim Hortons is always, so I'm not surprised by this, because again, this is just Tim Hortons, the new Tim Hortons. And the issue that we've been having with Tim Hortons is it has no idea what company it is. So you see all these off the wall, ridiculous products coming from what should be a coffee and donut shop. And then you see, different product after product after product. It just doesn't make any sense, that they're just trying to do whatever they can to compete with businesses that they shouldn't be competing with. And then Tim Hortons, of course, now is jumping into Broadway.
Well, you say, of course, now. I believe this to be unexpected. I find when Tim Hortons make these crazy moves, it's usually the race to the bottom, finding like the cheapest, worst product and putting all its money into marketing. This is a completely different thing, because they're losing money on it, I would assume. And it's a bit highbrow. Like, it's certainly not for Tim Hortons customers. I can't imagine a bunch of Tim Hortons customers are going to be going to the Elgin Theatre in Toronto to see a stage show based on a snowstorm in 2010, themed around Tim Hortons, called The Last Timbit. I don't know who this is for, other than like the I don't know, people into musical theater that have a good sense of like irony and sarcasm or something, maybe.
I mean, I don't see the irony or the sarcasm here. I see that they feel that they can, the musical Come From Away.
Yeah, it's the same director, you know that, right?
It's the same director, yeah. So they're clearly thinking that they can, with this story that it's loosely based off of, they're thinking that they can have possibly a Come From Away level hit here and have this thing be running on Broadway for the next 50 years. Like, it's
it's absurd, it's bizarre. I think I feel a little different than you on this, because I don't think it's a good idea, but I do enjoy it. If I was in Toronto, I would want to go see it just for the novelty of it all. I think
I would go see it, like, just to report on it for the show, just so I could tell people what it was like. But I mean, the few clips that I've seen, it looks like the no-name version of Come From Away. I've
never seen Come
looks
From Away.
awful.
That's about like during September 11th, a bunch of planes had to land in Newfoundland, like, because they were getting pulled from the sky. So it's about that, but and it's about like kind of the hospitality of the community welcoming these people from away. Here's one thing about The Last Timbit, the play. It's being done, I guess, in honor or whatever, or in recognition of Tim Hortons' 60th anniversary. That's a weird anniversary to do this bizarre thing. Like 60th, I could see if it was their 100th to do something outrageous.
Yeah, or even 50.
Yeah,
50 is a milestone event.
60 is pretty forgettable.
Oh, well, so will this musical.
Do you?
It would be completely forgettable.
Tickets for this musical, for people who are curious, are $90. They're for sale now.
Can you imagine?
90's not
Can you
crazy.
imagine? It's not crazy, no, but for what you're going to see, can you imagine paying $90 to see the last
Yeah,
Timbit?
but
Can you?
everything is so expensive now. We don't go to concerts often because we live in kind of a crappy place. But things that just 5 years ago were $30 are now like $70. So 90 is not outrageous for a play,
Well, it's not
a
outrageous
musical.
for a good show on Broadway for sure. It's a very affordable, reasonable rate for a big show on Broadway. Absolutely. But for Tim Hortons musical, $90
Yeah.
to sit for down for probably what will be 3 solid hours of your life, where you're going to see professional performers who are only doing this because it's going to be a big paycheck for them, because all of Tim Hortons, marketing dollars are behind this. So they're going to be up there with absolutely zero artistic interest in this show. It's just a paycheck
Hmm.
for them. It's just a big fat paycheck for them. And they're going to be up there and they're going to go through the motions or whatever it is. And you're going to be sitting there for 3 hours listening to people sing about
Can
Timbits. It's completely
Yeah.
absurd. And like, part of me likes that it's happening, because it's like Tim Hortons, like, what's
Yeah.
next? What are they going to do
You
next?
could
But
never have
like,
predicted this. Uh, I'm excited to hear the music. Like it's all original music, songs based around, written for the show. I'm very curious to hear the music. We will definitely have to do some kind of review and play some of the songs on the show. Inevitably, when they're selling that CD at Tim Hortons locations across Canada.
yeah.
I want to read one last thing. This is I went on the website where you can buy tickets. I read the description of the show there, like the summary of it. Here's what it says. Inspired by real Canadian stories, The Last Timbit follows a group of strangers who wait out the snowstorm of the decade in a Tim Hortons. In this hilarious and heartfelt new musical, this unlikely group comes together to explore family, community, and finds the best in hard times, all while battling for the last birthday cake Timbit.
Oh God. Oh
Um,
God.
we,
This is like, I remember, like, I'm a big Back to the Future
yeah,
fan. And like, there's a thing on Broadway where it's like, there's your really great shows, new and innovative shows, and then there's your just, we're just putting our commercial stamp on this. We just want to sell tickets. And I remember hearing that there was a Back to the Future musical, and Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was like, oh man, a Back to the Future musical. Like, what's that about? And then I watched a bunch of clips on YouTube of it, and it was the worst
mm,
thing I'd ever seen on a stage. It was just terrible. The dialogue was so terrible. The way they played the characters was like these cartoonish versions of them. It was so over the top and
yeah.
brutal. And the Tim Hortons musical, The Last Timbit, will be just like that. That's the kind of show they're putting together, is just this, cash grab. Tim
Mm.
Hortons wanting to sell Tim Hortons,
I am
and
going to reserve my review and opinion until I can learn more. I have high hopes for it. I think this is going to be a groundbreaking success, and you're going to have pie in the face, but they don't sell pie.
they
But
used to when they were good. Yeah, pies and cakes and everything was baked fresh. I hate Tim Hortons.
let's move on to the next duo of stories. You hate Tim Hortons. How do you feel about bugs? Do you get like the heebie-jeebies around like spiders and that?
Oh, it depends on the bug.
Like if I ever find one in my basement, a spider or something, I get freaked out.
Yeah,
I had a
I don't mind a spider. A spider's pretty tame. I'll usually just get a piece of loose leaf and lift them up and escort them outside. And
What
that's,
about ants? I had
I don't
maybe
see too
three
many
summers
ants.
ago. I had a bunch of ants in my house. I had to get an exterminator come, and it turned out that there was like this wooden kind of retaining wall sort of thing on the outside of my house, and it had been infested with ants and I didn't know, and they were like, it was so close to my house that they were like getting in. That was a big disgusting issue. I don't like bugs, and that's why this next duo of stories is I find upsetting, but I find it keep Canada weird worthy. Do you want to go with worms or cockroaches? Which do you find the more surprising
Oh, they're
and
both
shocking?
pretty gross. So let's either or,
Okay, let's go with cockroaches. This is an interesting one because it involves cockroaches invading and infesting a hospital in British Columbia. The Vancouver Island Health Authority is being criticized for their response to and their communications related to what staff are describing as a cockroach infestation in the Saanich Peninsula Hospital. Are statements like the cockroaches being found in those beds don't bite enough of a response? Let's hear the story.
A BC health authority is trying to downplay the discovery of cockroaches in a hospital. They acknowledge the bugs were found, but insist there's not a safety issue. Our Penny Daflos broke this story. Penny, definitely a gross factor, though. Now, this is a Vancouver Island hospital we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a Saanich Peninsula Hospital, and the Vancouver Island Health Authority did not deny that there had been cockroaches, but they insist they are German cockroaches and that they do not bite or transmit disease. I don't think that's going to come as much solace to patients, however. Staff were instructed to trap the bugs, which they found in several patient rooms, the nurses' stations, and other areas of a medical unit. Saanich Hospital is an older facility north of Victoria. Frontline sources tell CTV News they were upset to find dozens of the pests, including on patients.
What I've heard is that the cockroaches have been like climbing on bedding and on curtains in between patient rooms and just like very visible. And so that is disturbing.
Island Health claims that they've had exterminators into the hospital and then there haven't been any new cockroaches spotted since April the 22nd. The health authority says no patients were moved, and their tone with this situation is really to minimize everything. And I don't think that patients or healthcare workers would like to be in this situation, whether these cockroaches are biters or not, Mijang.
Yeah, disconcerting to hear that they're actually on patients. Let's hope these bugs don't come back.
You bet.
I find that disgusting. The idea of a hospital being dirty is especially bad. I remember we had some kind of outbreak of some weird bacteria at the hospital. Actually, that was in Cape Breton. I think it was in Halifax to a lesser extent. But just the idea that a hospital is not perfectly clean, I find very upsetting. But I know that's very naive because they are very dirty places. But cockroaches is one thing. Cockroaches on beds, oh man, that's way different. And them telling me that they're a type of cockroach that does not bite does not make me feel any better.
Yeah, German cockroach. I just picture like a patient who's miserable in a hospital, sick, trying to get well, and just, what it's like to be in a hospital and you're just completely sick and nothing is entertaining. Nothing makes you smile. Everything just sucks,
Fair.
And then you're covered in cockroaches.
And I think the thing with cockroaches, I never thought of, oh my God, they'd bite me. I'm more like they would scurry around on me. And my biggest fear is that they'd like go in my ear or up my nose or something. And if you're in the hospital, maybe like half unconscious, like, is that not a possibility?
I don't know if cockroaches tend to go in people's ears. I think that's more of a
Earwig. Yeah, but
isn't it?
I don't know. I think a cockroach would. I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't know much about
Well, I think it's a little too big, isn't it?
I don't know. What does it even want? Why is it in a hospital? I thought don't
It
cockroaches
wants
eat
what
wood?
we all want, man. Love.
It's looking
That's
for other
this.
cockroaches.
Yeah, it's just cockroaches just want to make new cockroaches.
Okay, well, I don't know why they chose a hospital. You would think that that would be
Well,
something that'd be taken very seriously. I get that there's outbreaks in like apartment buildings and stuff, but like a hospital, you'd think. Well, for one, I would think the whole thing would be this big concrete building. I haven't seen this particular hospital, but you think it'd be hard for it to spread, but you also would believe, and I would like to think that they would take this seriously and get the whole thing shut down. I don't know why their statement to the media would include like these ones don't bite. It should be we're taking every precaution necessary to rid the hospital of these so we can continue, so we can provide, the care you expect from us. I don't know. This whole thing is crazy.
I mean, in the hospital's defense, they can't shut down the hospital.
No, but they could at
Right.
least like sugarcoat their response by saying something better than like these ones don't bite. Like, don't worry. I know they're on beds. No one's getting bitten.
Yeah, well, I mean, they called the exterminators. They did their thing, and they just assured people that we're dealing with this, and in the meantime, don't worry.
Okay.
So,
Well, so you're surprising me. You're surprisingly not as concerned about the cockroaches as I expected, Aaron. But I think I want to compare it with this next one. You see, maybe you're okay with cockroaches. Let's see how you are with worms, and not any worms. Let's see how you are with giant, toxic, invasive hammerhead worms that are invading Ontario. I'll give you a bit of the briefing on it, and then we'll hear a story. People in Ontario have a new reason to lay awake at night worrying. Invasive, toxic giant worms are being spotted across the province, and experts agree it's probably going to get worse before it gets any better.
Okay, we have to apologize for this next story because for the next 2 minutes, we're going to be showing you these creepy critters that could be slithering their way into your garden. And as David Zura reports, they're not just slimy. They could actually pose a threat to the ecosystem and even humans and our pets.
They grow to between 1 and 3 feet. They can get to be quite large.
Since 2019, the wandering broadhead planarian, or hammerhead worm as it's commonly known, has been spotted across Ontario, including the GTA. The invasive species from Asia that's been seen plenty in the US and Quebec looks a lot like an earthworm, but gets its nickname from the large, flat shape of its head. Not to mention the worm secretes a paralyzing toxin made of the same molecule produced by pufferfish.
It isn't really harmful to adults. It might create a bit of a rash and reaction to really young children, but that can be a bit of a problem. But they certainly aren't fatal.
It's coming probably in through the nursery trade.
Meanwhile, Kathy Kavasilis is in Halton Region and a member of the Master Gardeners of Ontario. She says it's extremely rare still, but
It certainly is now being reported in Ontario.
for gardeners out there who encounter one of these worms, my understanding is don't touch it with your bare hands.
I don't touch it with bare hands, wear gloves, and we give this advice to many things in the garden. I'd be more concerned about the damage they may do to ecosystems than the damage they would do to people.
If one of those worms is ingested by a person or a pet, the advice is to seek emergency medical attention.
A lot to dissect there. I read that these worms, they will stand out from earthworms, both because they have that hammerhead style head, but also these things can be as long as 3 feet long. They can be as big as 3 feet long. I think that would stand out. That's pretty terrifying to me.
yeah, that actually shocked me when they said that they can grow up to 1 to 3 feet, and I'm like, man,
That's a
there's
snake.
nothing fun anymore. Like, gardening is such a nice, relaxing, fun thing for people to do, not only as a hobby, but it's a way to spruce up your property. And there's so many valuable things that come along with gardening. And then
Not anymore.
something has to destroy it.
Yep, not
Something,
anymore.
you can't have anything anymore.
Yeah, it's a poisonous. I don't. Is there a difference between toxic and poisonous? I think so. Poisonous, I think it needs to like get you, like bite you or something. But I think these just like secrete the toxic stuff. So even just like touching it, they gave advice on what to do if it's ingested. I don't know if there's much risk of people eating these worms.
Well, somebody who, like, I guess maybe an animal, like your dog or something, is rummaging through the garden and eats this thing because it's a dog.
Well, it's
Or somebody who's growing kale and just likes to
a handful.
nose dive into their kale in the garden and just eat it without a fork and a knife. And
Yeah, I guess it can happen.
and then maybe they accidentally ingest this hammerhead worm, this 3 foot long hammerhead worm, the jaws of worms.
I think we've referenced this movie in the past on this show as well, but the movie Tremors comes to mind.
Yeah, we did talk about Tremors a couple months ago.
Why does that come up a lot?
Well, I think it only came up. This is the second time it came up.
Yeah, but how many movies? Like, think we've been doing this show for 2 years. We've probably mentioned 10 movies so far. Why Tremors twice?
Why? Well, it's an important film.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it marks a generation.
Okay.
It tells a story that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
Especially now. Like,
Yeah, it's now more than
Tremors
ever.
is more important than ever. And like now there are giant worms we have to worry about.
Yeah.
First COVID, now giant worms. Remember that? Remember that thing from the pandemic? What was like any other thing that was going on wrong in the world was always put on top of the pandemic. It's like, not only are we in the middle of a global pandemic, but there's also regular problems too.
Yeah. Thank God that these worms weren't raising their hammer-headed heads out of the dirt in Ontario during the pandemic, because I don't think the people could have taken it. Like, I know
No, because gardening was a big thing that people really got into during the pandemic when everyone was on lockdown.
Yeah. Imagine it was like, put on your mask, stay within 6 feet of each other, don't leave your bubble or your yard, and stay the hell away from your gardens.
Yeah, don't go near your garden because there's hammerhead worms that want to poison you to death.
I feel
Other than that, have fun. Have fun.
Yeah, I feel bad for the people of Ontario, but it's, a problem in Ontario like this is a problem in Canada. These things, invasive species are an issue. And in fact, earthworms are an invasive species. They're not native to Canada. They came here once upon a time. I guess we're just going to have to live with killer bees, acid rain, and toxic hammerhead worms from now on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just going to go to Ontario now and get accustomed to the worms, the hammerhead worms. So that way when they reach the East Coast, I'll be like, oh, the hammerheads.
Yeah, I'm used
They
to it.
only poison you a little bit.
I don't think it was mentioned in that article, but I did a bit of reading. I went down a bit of the rabbit hole on these hammerhead worms, and again, they can be between up to like 1 to 3 feet long, but they're also like regular worms, where if you cut them, each cut will become its own worm.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
yeah.
and I was kind of surprised by that, because it has the unique head shape, like the hammerhead. So you'd think like you just chop its head off and be done with it. No, it grows new heads. And if you cut it into 6 pieces, you got 6.
You got 6 hammerhead worms on your tomatoes.
That will each individually continue to grow. So that's
up to 3 feet long.
It's like
and continue to poison.
You've seen, I don't know if you're as into Disney stuff as my family is, but The Sorcerer's Apprentice is the Disney story where Mickey Mouse puts on a wizard's hat. Mickey Mouse is like kind of this wizard slave, and he has to move water around, but he puts on the wizard's hat and does magic to make a broom come to life and carry the buckets of water for him. But it's moving too much water, so Mickey Mouse grabs an axe and chops up the broom, but then all the individual little splinters of wood from the broom all become their own brooms and continue to move buckets upon buckets.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen that.
That's what I think will happen if Mickey Mouse tried to chop up one of these worms.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing.
What other movies can we think of?
Sorcerer's
right
Apprentice,
now?
Tremors, I guess Dune. That's like topical. That's in the theater. That involves
Beetlejuice.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Yes, Beetlejuice.
What about Arachnophobia?
Then there's the video game Arachnophobia. We've talked about on this show.
Yeah,
before.
I know. It comes up a lot. That's spiders, but still, they're insects. I don't know.
Yeah.
What were you
I'm
gonna say?
thinking of the video game Earthworm Jim.
That's a throwback to the 90s, but yeah, Earthworm Jim is
deep cut.
perfect for this story. While we think of other things related to worms, let's go to the next story.
Yeah.
Here's how we'll segue. If you or I get attacked by toxic, invasive, giant hammerhead worms, it's likely going to be our feet, right? Like, I'm not going to be digging my hands into a garden anytime soon, but I guess I'll be walking around the yard, so maybe they'll get my feet. Which reminds me of this other story about feet.
Wow.
Let me just ask you, I've never asked you this before. Do you have a foot fetish?
I only have a foot fetish in the sense that I love using my own feet to walk around.
Yeah. You fetishize, I don't know.
Fetishize.
Fetishize motion, walking.
Yeah. I love being able to walk to and fro.
Okay.
And for that reason, I have a fetish for my own feet.
Yeah, I guess that's the extent of my foot fetish as well. I grew up skateboarding. I guess maybe that's kind of in the ballpark. I guess
Yeah.
neither of us really have a foot fetish.
Not legally, no. I wouldn't be someone that is, you know, meandering around the foot fetish websites.
Okay. I don't have anything against people who do, so there's no fetish shaming here. If you're into foot fetishes, that's cool. You're welcome here on Keep Canada Weird. But when a business uses foot fetishes as a way to reduce the bottom line of that customers are paying, I think it gets interesting. You know, you hear a lot of ad supported content. Even Netflix does it. Like you can, you know, a Netflix membership is say like $14, but if you're willing to have ads, it's only like $8 or something like that. So you're kind of agreeing to this caveat to the service for a reduced cost. And that's, you know, that's kind of common in this day and age, but rarely is that caveat, we'll give you a discount, but you need to give us consent to take pictures of your feet and sell them online. That sounds shocking, but it's happening. It's a salon in Ontario that is doing this in Toronto. The story of the foot fetish discount salon in Toronto comes to us from a correspondent named Teresa in Victoria. Here's how she let us know about this.
Well, hello again. This is your regular Keep Canada Weird correspondent from Victoria, British Columbia, Teresa here. And have I got a story for you that I know Aaron's going to have quite a good laugh at, and I can hardly wait to hear his comments on it. So a Canadian nail salon is offering discounts to customers who let them sell pictures of their feet on fetish foot site. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. But anyway, I'm interested to hear about how you guys feel about this. Okay. Well, hope you guys are doing well, and thank you again for everything that you guys do. You're amazing, awesome, by far the best podcast out there. Look forward to all future episodes.
Thank you for this story, Teresa, because I didn't know about this. I got that voicemail from her, and I thought, this can't be real. I have to double check that before Aaron and I talk about it. It's true. I found the salon's Instagram where they're promoting this. I found a couple news articles discussing it. The best way to get the story, I couldn't find much mainstream news, but I did find a good article that summarized the issue by the Daily Hive. If you have it in front of you, you can read it. I'm willing to read it as well.
I'll certainly give it a read. Just I will pull that up right now.
While you pull it up, I'll encourage any other listeners, if an interesting story pops up, even if it's, you know, big news and you think we probably know, we still want to hear from you because I miss things like this, and I'm shocked I missed this one.
Yeah. It's rare that one slips by us, but yeah.
So
every now and then, I guess.
Yeah. So the article we'll go through is from the Daily Hive. The headline is Canadian Nail Salon offering discount to customers who will let them sell feet pics. Take it away, handsome Aaron Airport.
If you've ever wanted to sell pictures of your feet on Feet Finder, one Canadian nail salon is offering you the chance to do just that. According to a press release, Fix Nail Bar in Toronto is embracing the foot fetish market by offering customers a unique deal. Patrons who give written consent for the salon to sell their feet on Feet Finder, an online platform that allows its users to buy or sell custom foot fetish content, can receive 20% off their pedicure service. According to the website, Feet Finder generates over $5 million in foot content sales annually and is the safest and most secure website to do so. The salon explained that Feet Finder has grown into a significant platform that allows for a lucrative opportunity to share exclusive content while allowing customers to save on their pedicure services. In a statement emailed to Daily Hive, Fixed Nail Bar founder Nikita Andrews explained that the salon's Foot Your Bill campaign will support its business growth as customers dip their toes into the platform while creating a truly memorable experience.
It sounds too strange to be true, but I guess I get it. I just think it's weird that a business owner would be like, you know what, we're just gonna lean on the foot fetish industry and, you know, we'll benefit from it because we'll be getting the sales of these feet pics, and our customers will benefit from it because we'll give them 20% off.
Yeah. I have two different feelings on this story.
Okay. Let's hear 'em.
So my first feeling is very supportive. I think that it's within their wheelhouse. You know, they're doing pedicures.
They're doing
It
foot
makes
stuff.
foot stuff. You know, it makes sense for them to dabble into this unique experience that they're offering their customers to have their beautiful feet photographed and made for sale on this foot fetish platform. I probably suspect that the owner of this salon was already deep into the foot fetish community well before they thought of this idea.
They must have been, right? Nothing else would
Yeah.
make sense to me.
But here's my second thought on it, and my concern for anyone who is considering taking them up on this offer, and that is to be sure to read the fine print of what you're signing when you do so. Because imagine this scenario. You go into this salon for a pedicure. You sit down and they say, you know, you have beautiful feet. We're offering a deal actually where you can get 20% off at the cost of your pedicure if you let us take some photos of your feet and sell them online.
What a weird conversation. Like, imagine pitching that to a stranger. But
Yeah. Imagine being a new employee who, this is my first day and I got to pitch this.
yeah, like selling in-store credit cards sucks. Have you ever had a job where you got to pitch that?
Yeah,
But
when
this
you're in the
is-
grocery store, like with a little sheet, like you want to sign up for a credit card while
Yeah.
you buy your craft dinner. So anyway, so they say, the customer says, well, will they know it's my feet or will it be anonymous? Oh, it's completely anonymous. You just sign this form here. So they just kind of blindly sign the form. They trust the business that it's going to stay anonymous and all these things. And then the business does just as they said that they would do. And then they upload the photos of the customer's feet to the online foot fetish platform. And then after a few weeks, this customer's feet becomes very popular.
Blow up.
Just blows up, explodes. Everybody with a foot fetish is wanting to buy these photos. So the customer finds out somehow, even though it's anonymous, but the customer, because they're curious probably, and maybe they're doing a little bit of research into the platform and they find out that their feet are just exploding in popularity. They become a foot fetish celebrity, although they're anonymous, but their feet are spreading like wildfire all over the internet. So the customer says, man, the salon is getting all of the money for this. All I got was 20% off. So
which for a pedicure, what is that? Like 20% of a pedicure is probably $5 or $7 or something.
I'd say it's probably more like $30, probably $25.
No, like the entire thing is $25 or $30.
No, I think like a pedicure, like a good pedicure, is probably an $80, $90 thing, isn't it?
Okay, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe but neither of us know. Let's
okay. Well, either way, they're selling their feet pics for 10 or 20 bucks ish.
Yeah. Let's say $20. We'll
Okay.
land on $20.
Let's land on 20. So, okay.
Yeah. So the customer's like, man, I only got 20% off. It was like, $15, $20. And they're selling, and my feet are the most popular feet on that website right now. And they're making bank off of this. So my ultimate question is, after all of that, who has the rights to those feet?
Well, I think if you sign the dotted line, that's the deal. It's here's you're giving up pictures of your feet to be used this way in exchange for 20% off. I think that's the whole deal. I don't think you have any recourse to get the photos back or get, credit or something like that.
But what if you want to take new photos of your own feet?
I'd say that's irrelevant to this offer. They're not
well, I
gonna...
think the fine print is key in this situation.
So you're suggesting they bring a lawyer with them to the nail salon?
I'm suggesting they carefully read whatever they're signing, and potentially have a lawyer. It'd be interesting for a lawyer for fun, look into this deal that the salon is offering and read through the contract.
The whole idea of like selling photos of your feet, that's just like you hear about that a lot. A lot of it's usually made as a joke, but I guess there is money in it. Like in this person behind this, the owner of that salon must know that, and I guess they're planning to maybe take over Feet Finder with an account of Toronto's nicest feet, freshly manicured.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd happily do it.
Yeah. Best of luck to them. We're about to start wrapping up the episode, but we still got another voicemail to hear. This one will call back to another story we discussed last week, and that was, of course, Tim Hortons Pizza. We're hearing from a listener named Laura who worked at McDonald's during their pizza era. And I think they're using their experience as a bit of a cautionary tale on what could go wrong for Tim Hortons. Here it comes.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. It's Laura calling from Kitchener, Ontario. I was just listening to your recent episode discussing the pizza from Tim Hortons that you tasted and the wait time that it took to make. And I don't know if you remember back when McDonald's used to have pizza. I worked at McDonald's back when I was a teenager. And the reason that they stopped having pizza at McDonald's, which I actually really loved the pizza, it was delicious, they stopped because it took 5 minutes to cook the pizza from start to finish, which always held up the drive-through and would annoy customers in the lobby. And so that is why McDonald's stopped. So I'm curious how long Tim Hortons will have the pizza, if it is probably also taking at least 5 or more minutes for them to make their pizza. Anyways, enjoy listening to your show and take care.
I was thinking about this today, and I went to Tim Hortons and got a pizza for supper tonight again, like I did last week.
Oh my God.
And it took a long time. And as I was waiting in line to get my pizza, or waiting in the drive-thru to get my pizza, I made the prediction, and I'm going to put it here on air as well, is I think we're just maybe a month or two away from an announcement from Tim Hortons that their pizzas are dine-in only and no drive-thru service, because it's holding up the drive-thrus. I waited. I was in the drive-thru. I backed it up, 4 or 5 cars just sitting there at the window waiting to get the pizza. So I think McDonald's pulled it. I don't know if Tim's will pull it or maybe just make it dine-in only. I don't know what's going to happen here, but pizza was a bold choice.
Yeah, it's a bold choice. I can't see it lasting forever. I don't know what infrastructure they invested in order to cook these pizzas, but we'll see what happens. I don't have high hopes. The pizza's okay, but once the initial wave of everyone wanting to try it dies down, people won't want to order it because it'll take too long, and it's like, I can get pizza anywhere.
Yeah, and they're famous for like introducing and pulling stuff, so yeah, maybe that's going to happen. All right, well, we'll see where that goes, but let's wrap this up for tonight. There's a lot of weird to get to, but we're going to have to save it for next week. Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Jordan, until next time.
Don't ingest worms, and if you end up in a hospital in British Columbia, bring earplugs and bring 2 pairs of earplugs, one for your ears, one for your nose, because they got bugs there.
And Jordan, until next time, no matter what part of your body somebody wants to take a picture of, always read the fine print.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird, but let us also call out to you for even greater support in this. If something weird happens in your neck of the woods, please let us know. And if you have any thoughts, opinions, theories, or feedback on any of the stories we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear about that as well. The best way to reach us is via voice memo sent using the app at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And if you hear your voice on the show, email me at nighttimepodcast@gmail.com and let me know, and I'll send you a little Keep Canada Weird swag as a thank you. Aaron and I are excited to hear from you. Now, before we part here, let me end with some thanks. First, a big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A shout out to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, who provides our intro and outro voiceovers. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. On the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the Nighttime Podcast's premium feed. Cassie, Letty, and Charlotte, thank you for your generous support. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can help us out here in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and that'll fund the creation of new episodes of the show. But it'll also give you those episodes 2 days early, get them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium right now at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by simply sharing this episode on social media and letting all your friends know why they should listen. Your support's very much appreciated. Now, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, let us know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.